Hello students, welcome back to the fifth module of Python. So in the previous video or in the previous example, we retrieved a plain text file which had some 4 lines in a file, and we simply copied those 4 lines, meaning we wrote a simple browser program and copied those 4 lines on the screen. Let us look at that example once again quickly. So this was that simple browser which we had written. So as you know, we import the uh, Python package as a socket. Now this is similar to hash include, and then we include some header files, right? We want to use printf scanf, so I say hash include stdio.h in my C programming. So this is something similar to that. So I import this package or this library as socket, and then once that is done, I create a socket. To create a socket, I have already told we need this method socket, which takes 3 arguments, out of which the third is 0, so we don't give it. Otherwise the first two are socket dot uh, af underscore inet, which is I have to write this if I deal with IPv4. You already know this. And then the socket type, which is socket stream, which is for TCP. Once this is done, I establish a connection to the server. So this is my web server, uh, and then port number 80 I give. Then I have to send the request, so I say get a file whose name is romeo.txt and which is in uh, the web server data.pr4e.org, and HTTP is the protocol, 1.0 is the version, 2/ns. I have told you that this is the separator between the header and the content. And then I have told you that this should be encoded and sent. Okay, in simple words, I had told you that it is conversion of ASCII to binary. And then I send this to the server. Then after sending, I have to receive. So this receive, I have put in a while loop, which is infinite while loop. I have made this as true, meaning this is infinite loop. Then I execute this mysock dot receive function, and here I tell that I want to retrieve 512 characters or bytes at a time, and then I go on printing them. The moment nothing is received, I know that I keep on checking the length. The moment nothing is received, I know that the file has ended, and I break and I come out. Okay, so this was a simple web browser which printed the contents of romeo.txt file. Okay, and finally I close the connection. This is what we had done, and you saw that the header was printed and the contents of that file were printed. Now this header is meant for the browser to come to know that what exactly is the file. It tells the details of the file which is displayed on the browser. Okay, that's the need, that's the reason this header is very important, and server is always going to send the header. So this was the program which we had seen in the previous video. Now what we do is we are going to write a similar program. We are going to will be writing a similar program, but instead of copying data on the screen, we are going to accumulate data in string, meaning I'm going to read a image from the server. Okay, so let us look at the program. It is similar, simple. It is easy to understand for even mechanical or ENC students, so you need not worry. uh, just you have to spend some time with the program. Things are easy. Okay, so this is the two uh, libraries which I include. Import socket, you know that this is needed for the connections and for retrieval. Time, actually it was not needed, but then this is there in your textbook, so I have just included this time. They have imported just because they are delaying. There is one delay method which is used, just for that this time is used, otherwise it is not needed. Okay, then I want to establish the uh, I want to create the socket. So I call this socket method. It returns this, I have told you, it is something like your file handler. So that is returned. It takes these two parameters. We have already discussed many times about these two parameters, IPv4 and TCP. So that is done. After that I have to connect using this handle, that is my sock dot connect method I will call, and I have to pass the host, meaning the server. Now what I've done is host, meaning it is the variable which I've created, and when I say host, it is this particular web server of your author, and the port is 80. So instead of writing the two things directly here, I have created two temporary variables. That is also fine. Then uh, then I have to actually request. Okay, so meaning I have to say send function. The previous I had used a send. Here I am using send all function, so both means the same. In the previous thing I had given this as the value for cmd variable, but now I am typing this directly over here. That is fine. Previously you have also seen that I had used dot encode, but instead of dot encode, even if I prefix this string with the character b, that is also okay. So this is also you write it b then the string, or as we had done in the previous program, encode. Okay, this I had written and then encode. So both are going to do the same job. Okay, so writing b in the front, meaning I'm just converting that to binary. Okay, that is how I convert that string to binary in Python. Once this is done, uh, I have to start reading, but before that I have few more variables here. uh, Previous it was only text, so I read and I displayed the text in the while loop itself, but here I cannot do it on the output screen. I cannot display the image, right? Because to view the image or to view this JPEG file, I need some different viewer, image viewer, or say paint or something else I will need. So what I do is, in the while loop I will not go on displaying the image. Instead I will go on putting this in a variable. You can say I will be putting all that in this variable called as picture. Okay, now I want the type of this to be binary. That's the reason I append it, or I initialize that with uh, uh, what b followed by a empty string. Okay, so this will be binary. You know that we cannot declare variables in Python, meaning I want this count to be int. I cannot say int count over here. Okay, the variables in Python are dynamically typed. The moment you initialize it, Python is smart enough to come to know that okay, 0 is assigned. That means this type of count is going to be int. Similarly, uh, b followed by empty string, that means this picture will be of type binary. It will be holding binary. Okay, so hope this is clear. We'll move on to the program. Again I take a infinite loop because I don't know how many bytes are there in that particular file. So again I use that handle, which is my sock dot receive function, and I have already told you I am free to write number of bytes over here as your wish. You can write 1 byte at a time. The program will take a lot of iterations, or you can 512 was something which we had written in the previous program, but here we write 5120 bytes at a time I am going to read. And this the next is similar. If nothing is read, that means the length is going to be 0, and then I am going to break out. Okay, otherwise I am just giving a delay over here. Okay, the sleep is nothing but uh, time dot sleep. I'm sleeping for 1/4 second. This is just to introduce a delay. Okay, otherwise you execute this. If this sleep method is not used here, which is in this time library, if it is not there, within blink of an eye you get the program runs, and you don't get a feel that it has come from the author is from I think US. So you will not realize the data has come from there. So just he has introduced this. As I said, these time library is not needed here, and this sleep method is also not needed. Even without this, your program is going to still work. So what I'm doing is I have this count variable which is going to count the number of bytes in that. So I calculate the length of the data. You know what is data? Data is something which I received, the first 5120 bytes, whatever I receive, bits or bytes, that I save in this data, and then I calculate the length and go on appending that to this variable which is count. Okay, and then again these printing is not needed, but the author has just printed this line, that is what is the length of data and what is the total count. So he has gone printing that what is the current iteration, what length data I have read, and what is the total data which is read, that I'm just printing. And this line is important. I just go on accumulating the contents of that image into this picture. So if this is, say, the picture which you are reading, it will read the first some 5000 bytes and get it appended to this picture over here. Next it reads few more bytes, brings it over here. So it goes on accumulating the data in this picture. It goes on appending the data into this variable called as picture. Once everything is done, I close the connection. Okay, once everything is read into this variable picture, I close the connection. So now this doesn't mean that I have displayed the picture on the screen. After this loop, what happens is on the output you will be getting only this much. As I said, you will be getting the current count, and then the total count in terms of bytes, whatever is read. Okay, so it will go on printing all these things, go on printing all these things, and so on. This till here we have seen the program. Let us go back to the program. So this was the while loop. Next, I have closed the connection to the server. Now what I do is, you already know that by this time you already know that when you read something from the server, or when you get something from the server, you have the header and the contents, right? The file which you have received will have some header in the beginning, and then it will have some contents. So contents here, you know that it is an image. Okay, contents here, you know that it is an image which is to be uh, displayed. Okay, we'll see how do we deal with that. So now basically my task is to separate the header and the image. So what we do here is, I find, you have already studied this method find, so I find for a binary pattern which is this particular sequence. I am searching for simple, to be very simple, I'm just searching for 2/n's, because we know that there is the new line character. Two new line characters are going to separate the header and the contents of the file. So I am just finding the position of this particular new line characters. I put that into this position variable, and then I print the header. Again, this is not needed, but if you want, you can just print what is the position of the header. If you want, you can just print, and then you print the header. Again, as I said, if you want to print the header part, then you can use this particular thing. Okay, so I print picture. What I print, you already know this. How do you interpret this? From the beginning till the position, you go on printing everything. Okay, which is nothing but the header. From the beginning I have header till this 2/n's. 2/n's are recorded in this variable position. So you print from the beginning till the position, and uh, this decode is needed because it is UTF, which is to be converted to Unicode, or simple words I told you, which was binary to ASCII. Okay, so you go on converting and printing. So this line this printf is going to print this particular header. Okay, this particular header, you saw that these lines are these numbers are printed in that loop itself. Okay, after the loop, when I execute the next printf statement, I saw what is the uh, what separator between the header and the content. It was 2 slashes, and then I found the position, and from the beginning till the 2 slashes positions I have printed this entire header. Okay, next, once this is done, uh, what I do is I have to print the picture now. Okay, now somebody would say that I would have printed all this in the loop itself, but it is not possible. How are you going to print image on your output screen? It's not possible, right? Or if you print, it will not, if there is a flower or say your textbook cover on the image, but you are going to just see that in the form of binary. So you need a appropriate thing to open a particular image. That's the reason we are separating this header and the file and displaying it separately. So header, you have seen how it is displayed with the help of this printf, with the help of this position. Similarly, what I do is, you know that till the position it was the header. So after the position, I add just 4 to this, because these 2 slashes I don't want them to be printed. So I go further with respect to this picture, starting from that till I have not given anything here. That means it is till the end is nothing but image. So this picture variable, from beginning till position it was header, from position plus 4 till the end it is image. So that is what I do. But then I will not be printing, as I said, I will not be printing the image on the output screen. Instead, I will open a file. You can name, you can give any name, say kle.jpg or stuff.jpg, and then write binary should be the mode, and then it returns some file handle. I take this file handle, I make use of a write method, and I write the complete picture inside it. What is picture? You already know that I have extracted only the image now. Okay, the earlier value of picture was header plus the image, but now after this it is only the picture, the header is skipped. Then once this is done, I close the file handle. Now that's it. This is the program. If you want to look at the whole program all at once, it is displayed on this particular slide. You can just pause this slide and maybe type this, or this program is already there in your textbook. Then this output you had seen. Now the file is saved in what was the name, stuff.jpg. So you can go to the hard disk, open that stuff.jpg, just double click on this, you will be getting this particular image which was there in the author's web server, which we bought in through our program. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. Next we will see a similar kind of programs, but by using something called as URL